Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a fantastic Sunday morning or afternoon, whatever you are in the country. Thank you for joining me. I'm just going to wait a couple more minutes to give everyone the chance to join. Great. Awesome. So let's get started. So I'm Sylvia Blount, and I'm an instructor at the American Institute of Finance. I'm Securities License Series 79 and Series 63. And also my full-time job is investment banking. So I'm sure you'll get some great nuggets today. So today we're going to explore the topic of how to break into finance, and specifically we'll go over a few key aspects of the new Sie exam, which has radically changed the way the securities licensing system works. So great, just a couple of housekeeping tips here before we get started. This study session is being recorded, and you will receive the recording via email after the session. The recording will also be available on our website and social media. All of you, as always, are in listen-only mode, but feel free to ask questions. We want these sessions to be very interactive, so feel free to use the GoToWebinar control panel on your right-hand side to ask any questions during this session. And I will also try to answer some of the questions in a brief Q&A session at the end. We'll see, because 30 minutes go by very quickly, so we'll see if we have time to answer your questions. But great. So in terms of today's agenda, we will go over as I mentioned, the securities licensing system, the Sie exam structure. So talking about who should take the Sie and also the top-off exams. And then finally, we're going to go over the Sie exam topics, including knowledge of capital markets, products, trading and customers' accounts, and also the regulatory framework, which is very, very important for all securities licensing. Awesome. So let's jump right into the securities licensing system. So if you're looking to become a financial professional, whether you want to be a registered representative or investment advisor, the first step really is to get licensed. So the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, or FINRA, oversees all securities licensing procedures and requirements. In fact, FINRA offers a number of exams, as you can see in on the table on your right-hand side here, and this series varies depending on the type of businesses and investment activities. But what's interesting is that as of October 1st, 2018, FINRA introduced a new Sie exam, as I mentioned earlier, in an effort to remove a significant barrier to enter into the financial industry. In fact, previously, in order to sit for any FINRA exam, an individual would need to be sponsored by an employing brokerage. Right. So while this is still the case for all the securities, the series licenses that you see here on the table, now you can take the Sie exam before securing employment. So this is huge for the securities licensing and for aspiring financial professionals. So again, this opens up the industry to career changers and university students as well. So just to mention a couple of things about the securities licenses that you see here on the table, we have Series 7, 79, 6, 63, 65, 66. These are just a couple of examples about the on the different types of licensing. So you have, just to mention, the Series 7 and 79 commissions for the type of compensation. You get a commission for the transactions, but for the Series 79, you also get typically a retainer up front for your work in M&A. This is very common. The Series 6 is very, very popular, and that's a series that you will take if you're interested in selling mutual funds or variable contracts. 63 is actually the state license. California requires all financial professionals they're interested in the broker-dealer type of license to take the 63. Not all states require that. Again, it depends on where you're located. And then in terms of the Series 65 and 66, the Series 65 is also very popular. That's for investment advisor representative, where you get a fee for your service. And the 66 is pretty much a combination of the 65 and 63. Great. So moving on to the Sie exam structure. This exam tests candidates on security industry knowledge and broad and general concepts. Okay, so the nature of the exam is very, I would say, general and broad. So questions cover specific rules and regulations, certain characteristics and features of security products such as stocks, bonds, mutual funds. FINRA really likes to test on mutual funds, and also variable annuities. That's very, very common, as well as investment objectives such as growth and income, etc. Now, when it comes to the passing score, it's 70%, but this will be scaled to equalize for the specific question that each candidate will get during the exam. And then in terms of the exam length, an hour and 45 minutes. So what FINRA did is pretty much break down the old, let's call it Series 7, into two different exams, if you want to look at it that way. So first, now you take the SIE, an hour and 45 minutes, and then for the 7 or 79, typically around the 2-hour mark, 2 hours and a half. And before, it used to be 4 hours, something like that. So. And then in terms of the number of questions, the questions are going to be 75 plus 10 ungraded questions for a total of 85. Now, you'll see this 10 ungraded questions also for your securities, for your series. So the purpose of having this 10 ungraded questions is to, for FINRA to kind of see how candidates and how individuals perform on these questions, so that perhaps they will add them in future examinations. In terms of the recommended study time, I would say 60 to 80 hours. And what's really key for this SAE exam, but also for your series, is to complete a lot of questions and a lot of practice exams. So the suggested questions to complete are about 1,000, and also I suggest to at least complete a one assessment exam with 50 questions. 2 diagnostic exams with 85 questions, so like you would the day of the exam. And then 1 benchmark exam and 10 online practice exams. So total of 850 questions. As you can see, gonna have to answer a lot of questions, but that's gonna be very helpful the day of the exam, so you can pass the exam with confidence. So moving on, we should take the, let me see, great. So we should take the SIE. As I mentioned before, college students, career changers, and also for financial professionals. So starting from college students, obviously, in undergrad, exploring the financial industry, or a business major with some future job plans to get into investment banking or asset management. And then in terms of career changers, anyone can take the SIE as long as you're 18 years old. You could take it. You don't have to be sponsored, as I mentioned, by a brokerage firm. So anyone looking to change their career, they can do that. And then financial professionals, people that are in administrative and operations type of role, perhaps they're interested in starting to sell securities, and so those individuals would be looking at taking the SIE. Great. So I know I talked briefly about the top of exams earlier, talking about the series licensing, but these are all the series that you will be able to take once you're done with your SIE exam. They're called top-up exams, so that, as I mentioned earlier, now the securities licensing is divided into two components, so the SIE exam and your series. Just a couple of examples. I mentioned Series 6, very, very popular if you're interested, again, selling mutual funds and variable contracts. Series 7, obviously, for general securities, to sell, general type of securities. And 79, for example, I'm licensed 79, so what I can do with my license is being a registered representative at a broker-dealer and represent clients and talk to companies and talk to investors and sell those securities to potential investors. Great. Now, moving on to the exam topics, I would say that the exam is divided in 4 major blocks. The first block is knowledge of capital markets. And the percentage of the exam about this topic specifically, 16%. The number of questions you're going to see 12 questions about capital markets. So what are capital markets? So capital markets are the combination of the different types of market, primary, secondary, different types of offerings, and you will also see content about the regulatory entities. So the SEC, SROs, FINRA, SROs meaning self-regulatory organizations, and then also you will have to learn about market participants and their roles. Also, a big component of the exam is economic factors. So, for example, you'll see questions about how the Fed impact on the Fed's impact on business activity. You will see a lot of those questions. And again, other business economic factors and international economic factors as well. Great. Now, the second block, and a very, very relevant and important component of the SIE exam, is understanding products and risks. So this will be 44% of your exam, which translates to 33 questions. So the content of this section is primarily about identifying and understanding really what a financial product is, and also what it entails in terms of the potential investment strategies of your clients, understanding how you can advise your client on specific types of products and understanding their risks. So that's a very, very important component for your SIE exam and then for your future series examination. So that includes equity securities, debt securities, options. Options, I would say that for the SIE exam, you should really focus on the basics of options. Then if you're planning on taking the Series 7, they will definitely test you a lot more on options when you sit for your Series 7. And then the difference between closed-end funds, open-end funds, municipal fund securities. That's also I've heard from a lot of students that they see a lot of these questions on munis, REITs, obviously hedge funds, and ETFs. And as I mentioned, variable contracts and annuities are also very popular in the exams. And then, as I mentioned, investment risks. So the strategies for mitigating risk and understanding what your client is looking for, how you can advise your client the best possible way, and understanding their investment horizons, the type of products that would fit in their investment strategy. Great. The third block is understanding trading, customer accounts, and prohibitive activities. That's going to be 31% of the exam, which again translates into 23 questions. In terms of the content, you'll see trading, settlement, and corporate action. So including how many days would take for a trade to settle, some other corporate actions, and then in terms of customer accounts and compliance consideration, a big component of it is AML, or anti-money laundering. So understanding, red flags about anti-money laundering, how to identify them, and how to make sure that you're reporting them correctly. And then a very, very relevant topic is communications with the public and suitability. Suitability will be more tested, I would say, in your series exam. Again, the SIE exam is very broad and very basics in nature. So you will see a couple of broad questions about how you should, as an investment representative, how you should communicate with the public, and how also broker-dealers should communicate with the public. And then prohibitive activities, also understanding what's market manipulation, how people can manipulate the market to their advantage, and insider trading. I'm sure you guys know about insider trading, but that's also very, for obvious reasons, it's a very important topic that FINRA would like to see if you really understand it. Great. Then the final topic is the overview of the regulatory framework. That's only 9%, and you'll see 7 questions, but trust me, FINRA really likes this topic. And, obviously, it's about the regulatory framework. So those questions are typically a little bit more challenging compared to the products questions, I would say. And specifically, FINRA will test you on the SRO regulation. SRO, again, self-regulatory organization, such as FINRA. And associated persons. So how to register and how to continue your education. So in terms of continuing education, there are 2 different elements. There is a firm element and the regulatory element that you will have to take as a registered representative and as a firm. So those are 2 different components on the continuing education. So it's very, very important. Also because this is important for you to understand, because you will have to continue your education. So you will have to take other quick tests I believe every 2 years. So that's definitely important to understand. And then again, you'll see a lot of questions on this: employee conduct and reportable events. So what happens if a customer complains? So if they complain about something that you propose to the client, you would have to understand how to handle that complaint. We should report to your principals and things of that sort. Also, OBAs, or we call it outside business activities. If you work for a broker-dealer, then you have to tell the brokerage firm if you're involved in any type of outside activities, anything really that you do outside of the brokerage firm, so that your firm can keep track, and also FINRA can keep track of if there are any types of conflicts for you to have those types of activities outside of the brokerage firm. What really FINRA is looking at is a understanding if you're perhaps representing another brokerage firm and selling securities at that other firm. So that's what really is important. And then again, private securities transactions. For example, I'm mostly involved in private securities transactions. That includes, private placements, so Reg D and Reg A, which perhaps we'll dive into in future sessions about this. Again, 9% of the exam is not very, a big component of the exam, but the questions are going to be pretty challenging, I would say. Great. Awesome. So now, I would like to turn things over to you and take some time for questions. Just a reminder, please be sure to type your questions in the box in your control panel on the right-hand side. So let's see. Okay, it looks like we have a couple of questions. So Michael asks, is it possible to take the SIE and the Series 7 on the same day? Well, that's an interesting question. Yes, you could do that. would I advise it? Probably not. So definitely you could take it the same day. Keep in mind that again, the SIE exam is 1 hour 45 minutes, and then the Series 7, I believe, 2 hours and a half. So that's definitely a lot to take in a day. You could always come back, you know, tomorrow for your series. But again, you could take those exams on the same day. There's no problem with that. Okay. Sam asked, in your experience, what is the best exam prep provider? Working with Solomon Exam Prep, and they're such a great company. They have a lot of good material, both video lectures and question banks. That's very good material. I've also used before Kaplan. Kaplan is really good, and I believe Nauman Marks. Those are, you know, kind of my 3 favorites. But I would suggest that you get familiar with a couple of providers so that you get familiar with different type of language. I think that's very important, because the obviously the language that you will see in your during your exam will be different than what you see in your study material. So if you get familiar with the couple different types of languages, I think that's very it will give you that flexibility to take your exam with confidence. Let's see. Michael is asking, how is this exam is happening during the pandemic? Actually, you could take the SIE exam online, I believe, in certain locations, and they're trying to open up the online examinations to more states, I believe. So yeah. Okay. Let's see. Okay, Abel is asking, is the SIE exam in order and named by chapters, is all mixed? Yeah, so when you get your book about the SIE exam, it will be divided typically in the blocks, the 4 blocks I mentioned. So you will see those 4 big topics, and then within those blocks, you will find, you know, obviously the subtopics, and it's based on the FINRA outline, exam outline, that you can also find on FINRA.gov, I believe. So you can find that. Okay, let's see. Okay, so Nicholas is asking, I'm sitting for my CAIA level 2, and I was wondering if that material would help streamline my study process for the SIE Series 7, etc. Yeah, definitely. You know, there is some overlap when it comes to that, and if you're already studying for that exam, I think that would be very helpful, so that, you know, you could take the SIE definitely with confidence, and then perhaps, you know, spending a little more time to study for your Series 7, but definitely it would help. Okay, let me see. Michael is asking, I'm an undergrad in the midst of some corporate banking and investment banking analyst internship recruiting. I know these firms usually sponsor the intern and give them the option to take the SIE. Would you say it would be more productive to focus on building rapport with the bankers I've been in contact with? Definitely. I mean, it's great if you do that, you know, always building rapport with the bankers. That definitely helps. At the same time, you will have to take your exam, so that doesn't change that. So if you start taking your SIE exam before, again, getting employed by a brokerage firm, you'll definitely be ahead of the game. So you don't have to wait to be part of the brokerage firm and then, you know, spend, you know, maybe perhaps study for the SIE and series at the same time. Because what happens when you get hired by a brokerage firm, they will tell you, okay, you have 3 months to be licensed. So that should include the SIE exam and your series. So if you already have the SIE exam, as you can tell, you will definitely have an advantage. So you can spend those 3 months just studying for your series. see. Mark is asking, where do I get the training test while preparing? Yeah, as I mentioned, you can get the training material from different providers. I mentioned Solomon Exam Prep. We actually partner with Solomon Exam Prep, so take a look at our website. We have some prep courses as well on the SIE in collaboration with Solomon Exam Prep. But again, my favorites are obviously, as I mentioned, Solomon, Kaplan, and Notman Marks. Let's see, another question. Okay, so Jingjing is asking, hi Sylvia, does that mean that once I pass the SIE, I'm licensed and ready to be a financial advisor, or will this give college students a higher chance to get an investment banking job? That's a great question, because I don't want you guys to get confused. So once you get the SIE exam, you're not a financial advisor, okay? You would have to take your series exam to be officially a financial advisor or a registered representative. The SIE exam is just the first step that you could take while you're studying in college or for your MBA to get to get ready for to then take your series. I know that some people actually take the series before the SIE. I would suggest you to take the SIE first, because it's so much easier than the series. So you get that out of the way. Anyone can take it. You don't have to be part of, you don't have to work for a broker-dealer to take it, as I mentioned before. And then you take your series. But again, as you take the SIE exam, you're not a financial advisor. Only when you'll have your SIE and your series exam. Once you've passed both, then you will be a registered representative or investment advisor, depending on your series, the series that you're taking. Let's see. All right. Okay, so Michael's asking, it doesn't expire if you're not part of the brokerage firm, right? Like Series 7. Okay, so yeah, once you take your SIE, you will actually have 4 years to take your series. If you do not take your series within those 4 years, then you will have to retake the SIE. So that's actually a question on the SIE exam. They will ask you, how long does the SIE last for? And that's, again, 4 years. Again, you have to take the series, otherwise at that point you have to retake the exam. And then once you're fully licensed, so you've taken your Series 7 or 6 or whatever that may be, it does not expire. As long as you're attached to a broker-dealer, your license will be in good standing forever. Okay. I guess the last question, let's see, will passing SIE give college students higher chance to get an investment banking job? I would say so. I mean, nothing is guaranteed, but definitely you will stand out for sure. Again, in my experience, I've worked with different investment banking analysts, and I've seen a trend. Obviously, now everyone's trying to catch up and trying to get the SIE exam, but typically, a lot of students perhaps don't know about it. So if you take it and you pass it, then definitely you will have a big advantage compared to your peers. Definitely. All right. So I think that if you guys don't have any additional questions, I can wrap this up. I think that was very helpful. Feel free to leave your comments after the session on our social media. And again, the recording will be available shortly, and please check out our LinkedIn page and website if you want to access the recording and if you want to get additional information. Wanted to mention here the finance skills. You can find them on our website /finance skills for financial terms and articles and other webinars. You will be able to access more additional material on this. Great. Well, thank you all, and have a great rest of the day. Take care.